What's up? It's your boy, Roshi is here. Anyway, today we're taking a look at Kerendon Midrange. Pretty cool deck. You might recognize it as my last Light Judgement deck from the past. I think I called it Swag Light Judgement before, or maybe I called it Severin Midrange. But I think the proper eternal terminology for it is Kerendon Midrange. While I am, kind of revitalizing an old deck here, I do think enough has changed, and enough has changed in the format for this to earn its own deck tech. So let's hop into what I've done here, and then maybe we'll go from there. So, pretty similar to before, we are running 4 Desert Alchemist. This card's a bomb, just trading with stuff. There's a lot of creatures that just die to this, and if they don't have spot removal, you'll just kill it on the spot, and if it doesn't have overwhelm, and they do kill it, you stop damage, so very versatile, helps us hit power drops, and just super solid. I couldn't talk this card up enough. Next up, we've got Desert Martial. This card's just pretty good, like silencing stuff, blocking other things. In a world where there's a lot of 3/2s flying around, you can be really happy with this. A lot of 4/1s and etc. Any sort of X2, you can kind of silence something and then block it with this. Also just a good cheap way to turn off flying. There's a lot of flying stuff running around. We'll get more to that in a minute here, but so yeah, Desert Marshal is just a real good dude. Highly recommend him. And you could potentially cut him with just hard removal like Defile, but I think he kind of earns his spot, and I'll kind of explain why we're a little creature heavy in a bit here. Next up, we've got Elaws Elite. Just like the old version of this deck, we have 4 Reaps, plenty of lands with Decimate, and then in our market, we actually have Unmake and Immortalize. And this can potentially help us get to the point where we cast Last Light Judgement. Now, this isn't going to happen very often, but there are matchups where you really want this card, and it's just really high impact when it does happen. So we're happy to have access to this, but you could potentially cut this whole package out of the deck if you wanted, or even go even a little harder into it and maybe bounce off the even strategy. There's a lot of 3 power and 5 power and 1 power Decimate cards that are actually really solid, so you could go even further into this synergy if you wanted to. But I opted to run Evenhanded-golem and just kind of the even theme. It's up to you what you end up doing. Being a 1/4 is pretty nice right now. You usually have to use a burn spell or something, or a removal spell to clear this out. There's a lot of 3/3s in the meta right now, so just having a nice little 2 power 1/4 that forces them to double up onto it or attack and burn it, that's pretty good. Pretty good rate for 2 power, so we're happy to have it. Even-handed golem, I mentioned that we were running this. It just gives you a lot of velocity just churning through your deck. We're also playing Devour. Only 2, but enough that combine these 2, and that's a good bit of draw 2s. We also have Reweave, which is what I wanted to touch on. We're able to turn all of these units, if you just desperately need a silence, you can grab it. If you just want to draw 2, I mean, usually this is what we're using Reweave on, just to get more card draw. And in a pinch, you can use Unwavering Exorcist to grab a curse removal. So, if they've Avagrafted something, or maybe even a bigger, more problematic curse, we can use this to just shut it off. Also, being a 3/2 is just a welcome body. But that's kind of the synergy there. Next up, we've got Roland Iron Tyrant, and I really want to take time to emphasize how good this card is. The main combo with this card is, let's say we're playing at the start of the meta, and this is what I used basically day 1 and day 2 of the new meta. There was a lot of Stone Scar aggro, there was a lot of Skycrag aggro, and there was a lot of Rakano Surge. So in a meta that's just heavy on aggro, it's really nice to have access to a powerful turn 4, turn 5 play of slamming Roland and then playing a free Stormhalt Knife. I was actually purposefully not blocking things to let my life drop down below 10 or 210, so that on turn 4 I could play Roland, play a knife, kill something, and then make a 1/1 flyer. And the Roland and the flyer was usually enough between that and the removing the creature with the knife to just completely take over the game from that point. It's just really solid on an army in a can, as I like to call it, and any sort of like aggro opponent is just going to get shut down real fast if they don't have an answer. So Roland's definitely an MVP of this list. And one of the big changes from the version I played before is before we used to main deck 4 Dianas in this slot, but I opted to run 4 Rolands and 4 Knives. So that's been pretty huge for the success for this deck, and a lot of our wins came from these 2 cards. You could potentially just play Argenport and maybe cut some of the time cards if you really wanted to. But I'm happy with it the way it is. You know, I don't want to change it too much, but just something to think about. Next up, we've got 4 Wasteland Brokers. I went ahead and bit the bullet and crafted some shiny ones, so that's kind of cool. I just kind of like the art. But, like I said before, we can hit Immortalize with this. Immortalize is often what we'll pick if we have no idea what they're doing, because then we'll draw an Immortalize, and we can just like grab back our broker and just play another broker and grab what we actually want. If they're on relics or some sort of relic strategy, obviously Unmake's just an easy grab. Putting 4 of kill 2 attachments on top of your deck is pretty solid. I did this to a Mask of Torment list, and I just like 2-for-1 them 3 times, and they just conceded the 3rd time I did it. Diana is just super solid. She tends to be what we pick against aggro. Also, we're actually able to make good use of the armor here with the knife. So the 2 armor actually goes a long way towards bumping up our knives. So against aggro, I actually think this change was pretty big. We used to have Vara in the slot, but I think Diana just does a really solid job. It's also another good option if you have no idea what your opponent's playing, because you can use her to just churn through your deck. And if you ever hit that 12 influence, keep in mind we're playing Reap. Diana's going to be like a 2025, like 2022 by the time you're at 12 power, and she's going to end the game real fast. Other cards on the market, Warping In End of Storage is super solid against any sort of like mid-range or creature-based deck. And Last Light Judgment, once again, if someone's on like a relic-based deck, or just something that you just really need to get a hard reset, watch out for Aegis, of course. But Last Light Judgment's kind of your card. And there's games where we can actually cheese this out kind of early. I wasn't able to pull it off in any of the games of the video, or the gameplay that'll come with this, but I've done it in the past. I imagine if the meta slows down a bit, you'll see more Last Light Judgments flying. But for now, I like having it. It's just really fun, and it's kind of a cool combo. And I'm always really happy whenever I'm able to pull it off. Last homie in the main deck, we've got Severin. A lot of our wins, if it's not coming down to just roll it into Stormhalt Knife, it's coming down into Severin and just like 2 Reaps, and you just one-shot your opponent out of nowhere. Just really strong synergy here between our Decimate cards and Severin. And since we're playing a 3-color deck, we've got plenty of dual lands to just combo up, you know, these symbols and banners and Silexes. Just all are super nice with Severin. He's just a really strong clock. We're playing a few Touch of Resilience, and Severin tends to be the guy I give Revenge the most often, but that's up to you. You can actually give Stormhalt Knife Revenge. I have a really interesting play that came up in one of my games. I gave one of my Stormhalt Knives Revenge, and my opponent used Sabotage on the knife, and it actually causes the Revenge to trigger, so my Stormhalt Knife shuffled into the top 10, and I was actually able to get it back and kill them with it, which was... I had no idea that's how that worked, but it is how it works, and it's pretty cool. You can also give just like Roland or Devour, or even Annihilate Revenge. A lot of options here. Just really solid card. We're only playing 2 because it can be a little slow. But if you've ever got 4 power, sometimes it's correct to just hold up Desert Alchemist or something on turn 4. Play it, give it Revenge, give something big in your hand Revenge. And if you don't just die, which this deck's pretty good at not just dying, you'll take a little bit of a tempo drop, but later on you'll get it all back. And that's a pretty nice place to be at. Other than that, we have Petition to kind of smooth out our draws. And Annihilate's just one of the best removal spells we have access to. If you're interested in playing more removal, I recommend maybe running Defile or some other just fast removal spell could potentially be run. You could run Makar's Quiver if you really wanted to. But yeah, that's kind of it. That's the list. For the power, we've got a few of each emblem. Justice is the one we need the most power of, so you kind of see it skewed towards that. Emblem of Makar is just super solid, though. That's probably the best emblem we have. But we're always happy to just have a little 2-1 beater with flying. And Emblem of Grodov's pretty solid as well. If you ever give the emblem resilience and then it dies, it'll actually pass through Avenger round, which is cool. It's also one of the better targets to reweave. But since time's the power Keller we need the least, that's why we're only playing one of these. We have one time symbol, though, to fetch with Petition. Oftentimes, we'll want it in case we're trying to play some of these Silexes untapped and like get the full power for them. It's actually why we play Petition, is it lets us get treasures off of these Silexes, which I find to be very important. There's also really hard to get 4 Justice, 2 Shadow on time, and any hand with Petition in it is going to be more likely to get that. So this is the list. I might have rambled on a bit long, but I hope you guys enjoy the gameplay that follows. Look for that video down below. If you want to see me play these games and build these decks live, check out my Twitch in the comments or in the description down below. And thank you guys for watching. I appreciate everything, and every comment, every like, every subscribe. It just motivates me to make more. If there's any decks you want to see me play more of, or any versions or synergies you want to see, or if you're interested in trying out the hero format, either comment it or hop in my Discord. I'm always happy to offer deck advice or play some casual games. I'm not a part of any team, so I tend to just randomly challenge my viewers to games if I'm trying to test, and always happy to share info with anyone willing to learn. So thank you guys for watching, and enjoy the game.